And for me, I think the turning point was when I saw my sister. She was pretty much crying. She was crying, like really late at night. And I saw her, and I said, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "Well, I stayed behind to clean the kitchen, and my boss was accusing me of milking my hours."
Aw.
And I'm like, "That's pretty that's pretty messed up." Well, understanding that how my sister is, she, I'm like, damn. If I was a boss, I wish my employee would clean the kitchen and my place would be nice. So I, like right then and there, and I've been thinking about this stuff all the time. I said, why don't you just quit? I'll build you something. And that's when I took over Renton Deli and turned it into Saigon Sunset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, all of these kids, they seen how hard the parents work. So of course they're gonna become engineers and
You're like,
doctors.
F that.
Yeah, none of that. You were smart enough to get out of it, right?
You were talking about, yeah, you're right. Like me seeing how hard my parents worked owning that Chinese restaurant.
It's
I
hard.
damn would never
Go back.
open a restaurant just because I saw the sacrifice they had to put in there, and
It's insane.
I wasn't ready to sacrifice that.
Yeah.
So,
There's no doubt.
but see, they had no choice.
Yeah.
We have choices, right? We
Correct.
have options. From experience, from education, from entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But they didn't have them with too many options, when they first got here. What's happening, my good people? My name is Rango Lee,
And this is Mylin Pham.
and welcome to Blessed
Blessed Boaters.
home of raw and uplifting stories of the human experience. Today we got a very special guest in the house. He's he's a big restaurant entrepreneur here in the Seattle Puget Sound area. He owns the biggest Vietnamese restaurant outside of Vietnam called Anchovies and Salt, and 5 really good pho restaurants called Vinason Pho. Welcome, Quyen Phan.
Why are you laughing?
I'm not used to getting introduced.
Oh man, but it's big. I mean, you're doing big things in
Should we
Seattle.
release the balloons right now or later?
Yeah, just do it. We'll do it on
confetti?
AI, just AI it, right?
Okay. So how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on today.
Man, I'm blessed, brother. Thanks for having me.
Aw.
All right. So
Blessed
tell us,
boater.
what's up?
Blessed Boaters. He just said it. Blessed Boaters.
You're the true blessed boater here.
Man,
Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to America, and then all that kind of stuff.
oh man, thank you. I came to the U.S. in '91 by way of the Philippines. The refugee camp. We, came to Spokane, Washington for a couple years. And then some of our friends from over there suggested that Seattle was a better place. And it was a good suggestion.
Great
Seattle is beautiful.
Did you come by plane, boat, sponsorship?
Sponsorship.
Sponsorship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just through all the, all the war connections and stuff like that. We all had some kind of ties. So we was blessed.
Were you born in the refugee camp in Thailand, or you immigrated there from Vietnam after the war to the refugee camp in Thailand?
We came from Vietnam when I was 9, stayed in the Philippines for 7 months, and then came to Spokane, Washington in January 1991, right when I turned 10.
You're pretty old then when you got here.
Yeah, I was old.
Yeah, my family went to the refugee camp in Thailand, and
Yeah.
I came over when I was 3 to Portsmouth, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you guys do remember the journey
Here.
here to Seattle.
Yeah, definitely.
Not on the boat.
Same thing too. So my mom had foresight to move us to Seattle and not leave us in Portsmouth, Arkansas,
Yeah.
or we'll be chicken farmers or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That she's in Arkansas, and she knew about Seattle at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But like, Seattle is beautiful. So
So you're a big restaurant entrepreneur. Tell us, how did you get into it? Were your parents entrepreneurs before you came here? How did you get into the restaurant industry?
I think the restaurant industry is probably like the easiest thing that we can think of in terms of like the lowest barrier to entry. My mom was always working. Matter of fact, she was working right down the street at Hung Ban. So Hung Bun is an institution here, right, for the longest time. And I know my sister came to the U.S. in like 2008, 9. So she started working in the restaurant business. For me, we always knew that we want to be in the business. It just, in my family, it's, there's not a lot of risk takers. We like the 9 to 5. We make sure that, we get the bills paid. And for me, I think the turning point was when I saw my sister. She was pretty much crying. She was crying, like really late at night. And I saw her, and I said, "Why are you crying?" She goes, "Well, I stayed behind to clean the kitchen, and my boss was accusing me of milking my hours."
Aw.
And I'm like, that's pretty messed up. Well, understanding that how my sister is, she like, damn, if I was a boss, I wish my employee would clean the kitchen and my place would be nice. So I, like right then and there, and I've been thinking about this stuff all the time. I said, why don't you just quit? I'll build you something. And that's when I took over Renton Deli and turned it into Saigon Sunset.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're here now with Sheila Lavadia, my #1 loan gal. I've been using her and her team for 20 years. She never disappoints. Great interest rates, best service, fast pre-approvals. Got to check her out.
Wow, fast pre-approvals, competitive rates, and friendly customer service?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you for having me here. Yes, whether it's your first-time home buyer or an experienced investor, I can definitely help you with the very competitive rates here, and I can teach you all about mortgages. So check me out at loansbysheila.com, and I will see you there.
Check her out.
If you're in the mood for an elevated Vietnamese food dining experience, check out Anchovies and Salt down there on the shores of Lake Washington. Beautiful views and beautiful vibes.
You gotta try Saigon Drip for elevated Vietnamese cuisine. The newest, hottest restaurant to hit the Seattle scene. Make sure you order the banh mi dip, and on weekends, exclusively the bún bò Huế soup. You won't be disappointed. Go get some now.
If you're in the mood for delicious Vietnamese cuisine and pho, make sure you hit up Pho Bach. They have 2 locations in Seattle. Also, check out The Boat. They have this fire chicken and rice dish. You'll thank me later. What's going on, guys? My name is Rango Lee,
And I'm Elise Lee.
I'm Mylin Tham.
and we're the Powerhouse team. 3 local realtors that serve the Seattle Puget Sound area. If you need to buy or sell a house, we are a team.
Reach out to us and we'll help you find your dream home in Seattle.
Call us. We got you.
We got ya.
Got you. Was there someone that inspired you to go into the restaurant business, or obviously it was your sister, right?
Yeah.
And that was the person that inspired you to start into the restaurant business. Would you first say?
I would say it's born out of necessity.
Okay.
I started construction in 2008 to build jobs for my brother-in-law, right? Just, it's hard to find jobs because that was in the heart of the recession.
Yeah.
So I had skills to build. So I always knew that, building isn't that difficult. Building a restaurant was something brand new, but it was like an extra challenge. Trying to introduce something that I felt was missing was like, we always knew there's so many restaurants in Seattle, but not all of it is going to hit home for you. So, when going out to eat, I think the biggest thing about us is we're chasing something that I call it chasing nostalgia. Right? It's like, my mom cooked this, my hometown cooked this. How come I can't get that flavor out here, in Seattle? And Seattle's food scene has always been growing and innovating every day. But to be able to get flavors that it hit home is I guess is the right word. I thought it was missing. Like, I opened a restaurant and I wanted to give people the best cơm tấm, the best bún mắm, the best cháo lòng. And to this day, those dishes are not they haven't found their own footing yet. There's not one place in Seattle that you said, I'm going to go get my cháo lòng.
Yeah.
Right? And there's not one place that sell bún mắm that right now, to this day, I mean, like, what are you going to go eat bún mắm that is like, that, okay, you can go down the street for $1, right? You can go to, you go to Hung Bun next door where my mom used to work, and you would sell bún tập cẩm kind of idea. But where are you going to get bún mắm? Where are you going to get your default, like, cơm tấm place? Maybe Vietnam house, right? But there's so many dishes that it's just like an afterthought. Oh, I'll just have it on the menu just to have it, but it doesn't hit home when you eat it. You eat it just to get your fix in a sense. Like it just scratches your itch a little bit, but it doesn't hit home. And I think food deserves Vietnamese, those dishes in general deserve so much more love and attention, because I think, speaking just for me and myself and the people that is around me, I just know that when I ask them where you're gonna go eat it, they be like, oh, we eat it at home.
Yes.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing.
So Saigon Sunset evolved. It seems like you're always evolving. Okay. There's Vinason and there's Anchovies. So, 5 stores, Vinason. What inspired you to do Vinason? And then what inspired you to do Anchovies and Salt? That's huge. I mean, Vinason's huge too. 5 locations. That's insane.
Man, when I first opened Saigon Sunset, I was like, damn, I'm trying to give people too much. And people love the food, but it didn't make sense.
What do you mean you're giving people too much? Like, what do you mean? Too big a portion, or the menu is too big? What do you mean?
Put in a lot of love into the food, and it doesn't equate into good margins.
Too profit. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Like if you want to do things the right way, and I'm looking at my sister and my employees, I said, damn, you guys are working yourself to death, right? The numbers is exceeding all my expectations. I had hoped just for a simple concept. We do $1,000 to $2,000 in sales a day, create job for you guys. But then no matter what you do, no matter how much hard work you put in, the margin's just not there. And people know that the restaurant business is extremely difficult.
Yes.
You guys understand it personally, right? The margins are not there. So I saw it, I'm like, damn, maybe I messed up. This is not the right business model, or not the right concept, right? So I had to make it more simplistic. So, a friend of mine told me, my super successful friend, he was trying to get me to open one in his space. And he's like, I remember his words so clearly in my head. He's like, bro, you got amazing food, but you selling Mercedes to all Chevy customers. How do you expect to make money off of that?
Makes sense.
And I was like, damn, man, but it's too late to change this up. I mean, like, I got this big menu that you can get Bung Bo Way, Bung Mum, you get the whole thing, right?
Yeah, it was bomb.
And like till
It
this
was
day,
bomb.
people
It
tell
was
me
bomb.
how bomb it was, but it's like, man, the numbers didn't make sense, And that's when I said, okay, I'm gonna step away. I'm gonna let it run itself because it's doing okay, but it's not making money. That's where I evolved. Like, okay, I gotta make it simple. I gotta make it simplistic. So I did a quick study real quick on restaurants that had good business model, and fast casual was thriving at that time. You got Chipotle, Mott Pizza. And I saw that and I said, there's no Vietnamese brand that would take that has taken that market, right? Not in this city, not in this country. So I have big dreams for it. I said, look, I need to simplify this to where, how do I make a model that's scalable? What do I anchor it with? And that's when I picked Pho. I said, okay, I really like banh mi because I used to sell banh mi with my mom in the Philippines when we was 10 years old.
Oh yeah, the refugee camp.
Refugee camp.
Oh,
We used
dope,
to
dope.
sell out by 10 o'clock every morning,
They're
like
already
sold
doing
out.
it. They're already doing it. You guys are
Yeah.
already doing it. So.
So it was like we had FOMO before FOMO was a thing, like sold out by 10 o'clock.
Wow.
So but I couldn't pick banh mi because the baking process was too tough, right? And it wasn't as well received as like a Pho anchor in a space. Right? Usually, banh mi is in a deli, it's Pho is in itself a restaurant. So I wanted to anchor it with Pho and then put simple stuff around it, just to create essentially a Vietnamese Chipotle. Use my construction background to do something that was different, that was cleaner, healthier, and a concept where I felt like the people in the back didn't have to work themselves to death.
Yeah.
It's like you working 10, 12 hours a day, and then it's like, damn, our margins ain't there. Like you guys are just beating yourself to death, but we need something simplistic. So that's why I downsized the menu by 90%, just kept pho, banh mi, vermicelli, spring rolls, and just made it super simple.
And we're talking about Vinason Pho here, your chain of 5 restaurants around the Puget Sound area. And if you guys haven't been there, like your food is it's solid. Like the quality, you know, is good. The innovation, especially your one down here in Soto, and it's a nice restaurant. You have like beer walls, like you got a bunch of beers on tap, and yeah, it just ran really well. Like it was the first restaurant where I remember I can order from like the kiosks, and most Vietnamese restaurants at the time didn't have any of that stuff. So it was just like it flowed really well. Like system process was down.
And not only that, the beer wall. Come on, like
You haven't,
that is the perfect spot. Like you just don't see that. Man, that beer wall is insane.
yeah.
Insane. Yeah.
The food's great too. You know.
Thank you.
Yeah, you don't have the biggest menu, but what you have is good quality and consistent.
You got to talk about anchovies and salt, and that's why we're here today. We are talking about anchovies and salt because that is one of the most biggest Vietnamese restaurant here besides Vietnam. And I mean, I don't even know. I mean, like we want to dip into how you were inspired by anchovies and salt, and just the whole process. You know, the goods, the bads, the everything.
Well, thank you for that's a good transition into it. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. You know?
Yeah.
The good is like I've always, you know, I'm a dreamer. So when I do something, it sounds kind of boring, but I wanna. It's, you know, the stuff I'm doing is not always about being sexy. It's not about following trend, but it's about creating your own trend and kind of breaking the mold a little bit. You know. Like I always wanted, I felt like there was big opportunities in our community where there's no place for breakfast, there's no place for Vietnamese brunch. Vietnamese brunch is not even a vocabulary in people's mind. It still isn't, right? And then family dinners, banquet spaces. So I was dreaming big of a place where it was a community place where you know you're gonna go there to celebrate special occasion. You know, you want to not only that, but change the optics of how people look at Vietnamese food. It's just how, you know, because, you know, one of the things that I really hated when I hear things is like, a Vietnamese or a Chinese restaurant is only authentic if it's 3 stars. I'm just gonna go to the 3-star restaurant because you know that's legit, right? If there's an old lady sitting at the counter and the restaurant looks kind of cringe, that's a legitimate restaurant, you know?
What?
And that narrative is out there. You know, not all of us is gonna see that, but when you do hear that, it's kind of like, it's almost like a backhanded compliment. You know, it's like, it has to be a little cringe for it to be authentic, you know? And I think that's so far from the truth, but the shops that we do have, you know, it's because as a culture, we are so used to like just putting a product out there just so we can make it, right? We didn't do it out of love. We did it out of necessity. We built restaurants to create jobs for our family like I did, right? And also at the same time, we built restaurants so that we can make a living, right? People don't start out a restaurant to uplift the culture, right? And for me, I think being that when I was at 5 restaurant and I'm like, well, my next step is, do I grow the Vinason brand or do I want to grow the culture? Like how do I introduce more to this community when I feel like there was such a big opportunity to fill in so many voids, right? And and during my travel, and I was blessed to travel through Vietnam, I knew that there was so much more to offer to people. And so, man, I don't even know what to start with that. You know, it's just so much we could offer to people, and there's so much that we're offering now.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, because you're trying to do a hard mission there where Vietnamese food is associated with more affordable food, you know, and you go to Chinatown, you go to Little Saigon, you know, you go banh mi delis, they're more affordable because Vietnamese people, they're like, I don't need the service, I don't need nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Just give me my meal so I can get back to work and feed my family. But you're trying to do a big mission, which is elevate Vietnamese cuisine. And we went and ate there yesterday, and the food there is fire. Like most of the dishes we tried was super good. Like, you know, I'm not gonna start on like which ones. It was
You can't just eat one.
all
Okay, you
of
just have to eat a lot.
And
You,
just,
you know, it's perfect.
And those that don't know, Anchovies and Salt, it's like a beautiful location on the water in Washington, and it's just like one of the greatest settings. And so
Not only the food is great, it's the ambience, right?
the ambiance, the service, but you know, it's you took a risk, right?
Yeah.
Like
there's
there's no, and that's why you should get some flowers because you know you're trying to
You
create
should.
something that's not out there. And so yeah, I want to
It's hard.
commend you for that, man. It hasn't been. I mean, I'm sure that's not easy, you know.
Yeah. So, what was the most difficult in building Anchovies or having this vision of yours come to life? And we want to know what was the hardest thing like you can think of that you had to overcome.
You know what, the hardest thing in elevating your culture is there's people in your culture that want to hold you down. And it's the saddest thing to think about, but their mindset hasn't changed yet. They have this mindset that our food is supposed to be cheap, it's supposed to be accessible. So why are you making it so expensive? So mentally, it's very draining for you to uplift the culture when their mind is fixated in a certain way, right? I can deal with the physical challenges, I can clean dishes, and I can do all of that. But mentally, to corral their support, right? Like, how do I get you to understand that if you are part of business, there's this invisible ceiling that we've already set for ourselves. This price ceiling that Vietnamese food can't be higher than this, right? But they don't understand that if you've been in the business in the back of the kitchen, and I hate to throw people under the bus, so I'm not gonna name no names, but there's so many shortcuts you gotta take in order to make the price cheap. If you are in Chinatown, just imagine the infrastructure is so deteriorated that you operate at a kitchen with rats everywhere, with cockroaches thick as inches in the back of your kitchen. But your family, one of us has a mom, a dad, a cousin that is working in there as sweat equity, that is working under the table, that is getting paid nothing in order to keep the price low. And we race to the bottom. Like other cultures, they set a standard. It's like, look, you can't drop the price down. That is not how we compete. But for us, it's like we have set this
Why?
rat race for ourselves, and that the best Vietnamese restaurant right now that a lot of people would say is a great restaurant. I've known the owner for 20-some years.
Which restaurant on that?
I don't really want to say it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Right? But the thing is, she has been in the back kitchen since I've known her for 20-some years, and she is still back there every single day, 14 to 16 hours a day.
Man. Wow.
So being one of the best restaurants in the city, and you can't get out of the rat race, and you are back there in the kitchen. Like what kind of business model are we running when the owner is cooking for you 14 to 16 hours a day for the last 25 years I've known her? You know, she gave up one time and applied to work at my place,
Oh, wow.
right? And then she went right back into it. You know, it was crazy because she couldn't get my phone number, right? If she had my phone number, she would still be working for me. But it's crazy. She told me that. I'm like, damn, you still back there 16 hours a day for the last 25 years I've known you.
That's the commitment you need to have to be a restaurant owner, you know, because that's where your margins are when you're out
Well,
back there working yourself, right? Then
And
That's all we knew. That's all some people knew.
yeah,
Is
and it
to-
worked for a long time. Like, you know, a lot
Yeah.
of families are fed from that business model.
There's no
You know?
doubt.
Yeah.
Like but it's hard work.
It's hard,
It's
and
sweat equity, and we know it's hard work. But how do we get like, you know, one of the biggest reasons I opened Anchovies and I took when they gave me this waterfront is I didn't see it coming. Like I'm looking at my culture and I said, look, where people come into town and they would make fun of Seattle, say, oh, I'm gonna land and just bounce. Like, you guys got nothing to do, you guys got nothing to eat, your food stinks. And I'm like, okay, well, like, you know, okay, yeah, you know, you guys are from
what
Orange
state
County.
said this? What state said this? Seattle has one of the
It's
best.
usually California people.
Probably
California,
Oh my
Texas.
gosh, our flavors are amazing
Kind of
here.
bougie in California, though.
Yeah.
But they are kind of right though. In the past, the Seattle food scene hasn't been that popping.
So I've had so many people come from California. Yesterday, two kids that live here, they brought their parents from Orange County, right? And when you bring your parents, that means a lot to me. Like, that's the whole goal, is you found a place that is worth bringing your parents to, that so that they can enjoy the view, the ambiance, the food. The food is a bonus. If it's no good, they probably won't come back, right? But if it's good, it's like they definitely gonna come back and they're gonna tell their friends.
Yeah.
But the very least, you are enjoying the ambiance, you know?
yeah.
And when I was saying, I didn't see anybody was willing to take this risk. Like, you're not gonna get 11,000 square feet on the waterfront, like, ever again, right? That it's hard to get those properties to open up to our community, to our culture. And when I looked at the parents who had been doing this, they didn't have kids that would, okay, you know what? I'm gonna follow my parents' footsteps. Like, Envy is one of the very few that her parents has been here for 40 years,
Yeah.
and she's continuing,
Yeah.
right? But she's not looking to expand her pho into a full-fledged, like, big banquet restaurant kind of
Yeah.
idea, right? So, and then you know, all of these kids, they seen how hard the parents work. So of course they're gonna become engineers and
You're like,
doctors.
F that.
Yeah, none of that. You were smart enough to get out of it,
You
right?
were talking about, yeah, you're right. Like, me seeing how hard my parents worked on owning that Chinese restaurant.
It's
I
hard.
damn wouldn't never
Go back.
open a restaurant just because I saw the sacrifice they had to put in there, and
It's insane.
I wasn't ready to sacrifice that.
Yeah.
So,
There's no doubt.
but see, they had no choice.
Yeah.
We have choices, right? We
Correct.
have options. You know, from experience, from education, from entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But they didn't have them with too many options. You know, when they first got here.
No.
So
This why it's a necessity. Like, there's an influx of money that comes into Seattle. All these exchange students, all these kids that come over, they all want to go for the lowest hanging fruit. So they open up bubble tea shops and coffee shops and pho shops, but they don't understand the pain point of this community. They're not gonna risk $4 or $5 million to throw down on a project and be like, okay, let me solve your pain point.
You know what? That's
Because
scary,
they are
though.
not part of this community.
Yeah.
Right. If you are here, you've been to 100 wedding, right? And every single wedding you eating honey walnut shrimp, right? And jellyfish, you know exactly what's gonna come out at a banquet. But why are we Vietnamese people to this day in Orange County, California, Texas, and Seattle eating Chinese food for Vietnamese wedding?
that is true.
Well,
Yeah.
quote me on that.
Yeah.
Like,
Quote.
like,
Yes.
You know,
Agree.
like why? Right?
Right. 'Cause
You know, and that hurt me internally as a Vietnamese. I'm too damn prideful. I'm like, what the, like, my wedding was at a Filipino community center where, you know, man, again, I could not find one Vietnamese
caterer.
caterer to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, here's a question. So in Vietnam, they're not serving Chinese food at their weddings, right?
Yeah.
It's Vietnamese food or it's Chinese food in Vietnam.
oh man,
I've never been to a wedding in Vietnam, so I don't know.
so it's their wedding is off the hook.
Also,
Yeah, it's
Vietnamese
crazy.
food.
It's Vietnamese food.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because they're Vietnamese people.
Yeah, one of my best friends, bro, they own a wedding venue, and their food is amazing, man. You look at this food and you just like, why don't we have it in our community?
Vietnamese food is delicious, though.
Oh,
Very
it's
delicious.
it's like
one of the
Yeah.
best.
Hey, Quinn, that's why you're here. That's why you're here. We're gonna make it happen. You're gonna make it happen, right?
He's
Right?
gonna be the first.
Yes, there you go.
All right,
Oh.
let's switch gears real quick.
Yes.
So we talked about business and we talked about some challenges you've gone through and some successes too. So let's talk about life now, right? Because the road to Quinn being here has not all been rainbow and butterflies. And what's a life experience that you gone through that was really challenging to get through, that you got through it and it changed you for the better, that you like to share with the audience?
Man, it's this is crazy because I didn't even tell my kids this stuff yet. They're not old enough. They probably they are enough. Hopefully they don't watch this podcast anytime
They'll
soon.
probably watch it
The
when they get
YouTube
older.
podcast, but
Yeah. No, but when I was 22, I was locked up 5.5 years.
Oh.
For it's crazy of all things. And I came to age very young, 16 years old. I got my own place. But I just learned all the wrong ropes. But I wouldn't say it's a great learning experience because I honestly just wanted to retire my parents early. Right? I saw how hard my mom and dad were working, and I said, won't hurt nobody.
Right.
And I was
legal now.
It's
I know,
medicinal.
right?
Life on every
Crazy.
corner in Seattle now.
And I always looked at it that way. I said, look, if I'm gonna do something, and it's like, as long as it doesn't hurt nobody, this might be a good shortcut, and shortcut doesn't get you nowhere. So if my kids are listening, this is a good experience for them to learn because I always knew that I could do a lot more, but you always want to take the easy route sometimes, and that's yeah.
No, so did you finish college? Did you finish high school? Tell us a little bit about that. So that kind of like shapes your future and your decisions on what you did at 22, right?
Absolutely.
So-
I was in college. I was admitted to Hawaii Pacific University.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna surf my days away and go to college. Get a business degree.
So you went to college in Hawaii?
I was about to.
About to,
Yeah.
okay.
Right. That summer is when in May, I think it was May. Oh, shoot, it might have been May 24th. That's my kid's birthday.
Oh,
It's when I was arrested and
Right before college.
right before
Don't be any
finals.
worse.
Right before finals, I was looking at apartments in Hawaii just to go so I can go to college there.
oh, dang.
And but I always knew that college is it's great foundation.
It is a great foundation
Yeah.
for any career, any entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And it was a big setback. So I had to reset. I had to okay, how do I better myself? How do I educate myself while I am incarcerated? And the thing is, you just gotta empower your mind every day. I was like, one day I'm gonna take all these information and connect the dots. And you gotta fill your mind with as much dot as possible because that's how you're gonna build. Like a friend of mine recently asked me, it's like, so how do you have what is vision and foresight? How do you know which directions business is gonna take you in? And I said, man, as a young man, I just try to connect as many dots as possible.
Thanks for sharing. So before that, your parents growing up, your family, were you guys like into housing projects? Or your parents had good jobs? So share a little bit about your background, like, growing up financially.
We was never in the housing project. My parents were like very hard worker,
Okay.
right? So we was seeking out jobs. We had a big family, and we always worked, right? We had very little dependence on the government.
Oh, okay.
Because they had so much pride that they said, you know what, if we are able to work, right, we're gonna go to work and it's not like we wanna accept food stamps and sit at home. We all work, right? We all work and we still go to food banks so that we can save money and stuff like that. But we bonded as a family. We just know that, hey, we have to work and save as much as we can so we can build wealth for our kids in the future, right? Everybody live in the same house. Everybody helps source the mortgage, and their hard work is kind of what set my mindset.
Inspired you.
Yeah.
Inspired
Okay.
you. Okay.
Yeah, the reason why I asked you those things, because, me growing up in the 90s and 2000s, a lot of my circles, like real people close to me, they were all in the game.
Yeah.
Selling. And back then, it was super illegal. It was like selling today, right? Like
Yeah.
when you get caught with pounds of you're doing 5, 10, 20 years.
Scary.
But then some of my friends also, we all sold a little bit. I didn't sell as much as them, but then I don't judge them because they came from broken home. Dad wasn't around, mom was in the housing projects. So they need to eat, you know what I mean? They're not going to go work at McDonald's, and they're not college educated. So they got into the game and to make some extra money, pay the rent for their mom, pay the, take care of their siblings. So I don't really knock them. And some reason, a lot of the weight that moved back then went through Vietnamese people, like, what I mean? So it was like entrepreneurship on another level, right? Like the dark underground entrepreneurship. But man,
Some of us get to reset. Some of us made it out, doing pretty well, but it's the ability, the fact that you can reset, or you can change your life around. There's so much opportunities out there. That's the whole thing.
yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead. I'm just saying, in life, we all make mistakes as long as you have like self-compassion for yourself, and that's how we learn from them, because no one's perfect, we don't know. But okay, so I think we're starting to come to the end of the episode. So one question, since you love food so much, what are some of your favorite restaurants to eat at?
In Seattle.
Yeah, in Seattle.
Oh man, it's Vietnamese food wise.
Just whatever food, whatever you eat that you on your days off.
At home.
Yeah, I don't really get to too many days off. No, there's quite a few people that does things that's very innovative. Or my favorite steakhouse is probably Asadero.
Asadero, yeah.
I think that's low hanging fruit.
A good go-to.
Yeah,
And a huge bang for your buck. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you get a lot of good steak for that amount of money.
Consistency too.
Consistency,
Consistency.
steaks
You
are
just know what you're
solid.
gonna expect.
You're right. That's a good one.
yeah.
Good choice.
And my go-to Vietnamese food is probably always be yo hang.
Oh man, that's the second one.
Second person to the con from Saigon Drip. We had him
Yeah.
earlier. He
But
said
I
Saigon.
agree. I agree.
It'd be a wang. And it's funny because it used to be so hood back in the day. That's where all the gangsters would play pool, and then they would do stuff in the back, and people like be a
yeah.
wang. They got delicious food, but I might get shot going there, so I don't want to go.
Yeah.
But these days, it's tame now. It's pretty chill.
Yeah.
And for them it's the true definition of mom and pops, because that place has treated them really well. But I'm back there the other day, and in the morning Jemai is still there, right?
She said the owner lady.
Right. And in the afternoon it's still An Young is still there, and these are great friends of mine, but they are a true example of why we need to elevate the culture, because they been stuck in that position. Not I wouldn't call it stuck, right? But as a business owner, you should be able to break away from your business once it gets up and running.
Yeah.
They have been there day and night for the last 30 something
Right
years.
to it. Yeah.
As a culture, like that's not what you want to see. And you don't want to see somebody in the kitchen for the last 30 years at the same spot.
But also, you can understand why they're in the same spot, right? Because that's all they know. Like, nobody came into their life and said, hey, I got the system and process to get you out of this because I went to school or, on management, or I've experience running a successful American restaurant, and this is how you get yourself out of it. If they don't know, then that's all they know, right? And then they're gonna keep on doing because it is what works for them. So, okay, what advice would you have for people that are inspired to start a restaurant? What would the pros and cons that you would tell them before they think about starting a restaurant?
Well, that's a really tough one.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard because there's too much to tell them, right? There's so much, all the advice, all the warnings.
I think it's very crucial that you because there's this narrative or this people say, well, you got to get your feet wet. You know, you got to just follow your dream, jump in the game, right? And I think it's in a lot of Vietnamese people DNA, our dynamic is we become business owner. We like to own our time, and then it in turns eat up all your time because you become married to the game. So you want to learn, you want to have system, like it's people, product, and process, right? You gotta have you gotta learn as much as you can, and don't be afraid to ask, right? Because there's people that is out there like myself who's always open to answer questions. You know, I do individual meetup with people who meet up with me to be like, hey, look, I really want to open up a concept, this concept, and I would pick it apart for them and like, look, so what are your plans for this, right? And the biggest issue with somebody starting new is they don't know what it is that they don't know. Yeah, and they will run into very small obstacle that will think that, like for example, a business license in the state of Washington is like $200. You can get it in 10 minutes, but people don't even know what to start there, right? If you don't have those senses, like then it should be like, okay, I need to slow down and make sure like health departments, right? Like it's crazy because to own a business in Washington, you got to understand, you know, like electrical, mechanical, you got to understand plumbing, and it's not their job to understand that. But if you don't, like the best entrepreneur will tell you that they will run, like those things almost cripple them. Right? If you guys invite the coffeeholic kids up here, right? They're young, they're like 20-something, 30, extremely successful. But their first build out, they face crazy challenges, like contractor ripping them off and running away from them. You will lose passion for this game if you are not starting out with the right
Business savviness, business skills.
yes,
Business skills.
or like enough information. Right. You need to be able to like, okay, Quyen, who's a good contractor to work with? Who like where do I start if I want to do this, right? You got to use, as a community, you got to build each other up, right? You know, like all of the guys I see, sometimes one of my luckiest thing is the fact that I was able to scale because I understand how to navigate that roadmap with the cities, engineering, and all of that, because a lot of people, I've seen them just basically want to give up before they even open the doors.
Yeah. I think what you're trying to say, to summarize, is that it's one thing being a really good cook, right?
Yeah.
But it's a whole different thing being a really good entrepreneur. So sometimes cooks, they want to open up restaurants, but then there's all these sets of skills you got to have to run a successful business. And not just cook. But, you know, if you want to run a successful restaurant, you have to have all of those other skills, or you go hire someone, or partner with someone that has those skills, because it's different skills than just cooking in the kitchen, right?
It sounds super, 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 super stressful. Oh my gosh. Just hearing about it is super stressful. I mean, how do you manage being grounded or like just, you know, handling the stress? Like, how do you keep sane? Like, I'm sure, you know, it's been tough. How do you keep sane?
He lost all of his hair.
No.
So that's one thing. He didn't lose his hair. And
Well, you have to accept the fact that you will lose all this hair.
Oh gosh.
I think one of the things that I try to tell myself is that you have to embrace the journey. The journey comes with a lot of stress.
yeah.
And if you let stress dictate the way you move, then it's gonna kill you. You know, because stress will kill a lot of people.
It will.
Right? So you have to embrace it as almost as an energy, right? You know, before I came in here, I had 30 minutes and I looked at a new opportunity. When I saw the action, I said, wow, this is a stressful environment. I'm seeing like 50 people in a tiny kitchen, but they got a system in place, right? Yeah, so system, well, you obviously it's problem solving. I manage it by I embrace it, right? Every single chance I get, I want to make the most of it.
Okay, but what do you do after when you leave the restaurant to balance yourself out?
Yeah.
To
Relieve the stress.
self-care. What is it? Or you don't do anything? You do something.
What do you do? Play
Cold
basketball?
plunges,
Cold
ice bath.
Oh, cold plunges. Oh.
Okay.
No, for sure that there has to be balance.
Yeah.
You know, and I think at the core of all of it is you have to have support. You know, my family and my kids are amazing. So when I go home, I get to see. You know, I know that you gotta have that backbone.
Oh, the
if you
support
don't,
of your family, your wife,
Yeah.
your kids. Yep.
yeah. And my wife, knowing that I'm trying to build something, she has extreme patience, right? So she's not asking to go on a date every month or every week. It's like when we get a chance to step away, it's like to hang out with our kids, a movie night here and there, you know, invite some friends over for a quick get together. Those are like the life balances.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Very good. Thank
Cold,
you for sharing.
cold plunges. Have you done it?
So, I've done cold plunges. Yeah, I heard they're really refreshing and good endorphins afterwards. Okay, let's close it out with one last question because this one's kind of fun. So we thought of this one, I think yesterday.
Yeah.
If you could turn back time and look at your 10 or 12-year-old self that just came to America, what would you tell that little guy?
oh man,
How fun.
What would you tell him?
oh shit, that's
It's deep, huh?
You know, he just has so many things to say.
I know.
Oh, you just
No.
can't put in one?
it's I think that it's hard, you know. It's really hard to I obviously don't have much regret. You know, I'm like every time I answer somebody's questions is how are you? I always tell them I'm blessed.
Okay.
Right? Because there's always somebody who has a bigger problem
Yeah.
than myself. Right? So it's like I can't let the work or the stress overwhelm me. But if I'm young and I'm back again, you know, back to my 12-year-old self, I probably tell myself to dream bigger.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like because I'm always motivated,
Yeah.
right? But to dream bigger and to have better discipline,
Okay.
right? Because we all get distracted, and it's a balance, right? We all get distracted with the fun part of life, right? And fun is super awesome. I think we all need balance and have fun. But my goal since a kid to now is always to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
What is my kids, what is it I'm gonna leave behind kind of idea, right? What do I made a conscious choice where my kid's gonna look up to me as somebody who's always there to kind of walk them through all the small stuff, or am I the one that's gonna be like, oh shoot, Pops can navigate all these challenges, so the stuff I'm facing is it should be, I want them to kind of like cross those bridges themselves with confidence, knowing that I try to infuse confidence in them already. Like, that's easy, you can do it. You know, there's no thing to stress about kind of idea. So I would say, you know, being at 43, I would have dreamed bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, thank you so much, Quyen, for being on Blessed Boaters. Oh my gosh, thank you for being our special guest today.
Yep. And if you haven't done so, go check out his restaurant, Anchovies and Salt, down in Renton, and any of the 5 Vinason Pho locations.
Yes,
With
yes.
that, we out.
Have a blessed day. Woo! So why is it so important, Ringo?
Oh, we got a big mission out there. There's so much great talent around. We got to put that talent out and showcase it on the world stage. And that's what Blessed Boaters is about. Come with us on the mission. We can't do it alone. We need your support.
Turning pain into power, inspiring and uplifting. Our mission is to do something real big, Ringo.
Real big.
Real big. We are giving away 100 or building 100 homes, free homes, all across Asia. And we cannot do this alone. We need your help. We need you to join the journey with us. If you resonate with this and you want more information about Blessed Boaters, click on the description below or look at the description below Follow us on all platforms, Instagram, YouTube, and podcasts. Is that right, Ringo?
That's right.
Join us and have a blessed day.